to a page of errors. Right, so first of all I'm just going to break the link here so I can compile. I think the stream info is probably correct. Yep. Okay. So then, what is going on today, and where was I yesterday? Yesterday I was doing website work. I was intending to stream afterwards, but it took longer than I'd hoped, so I didn't actually get around to streaming. But today we are streaming instead, which is Thursday. Hello, Hoffnerd. First one in chat. Good to have you with us. Always good to have you with us, Hoffnerd, for another lockdown stream. Okay. So I'm continuing my mission to make colonies in freeplay, to make enemy colonies in freeplay. I'll show you where I've got to. So before I get into it, for those who haven't been following the other streams, just a quick run over what the plan is. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to make colonies work in one map, and then I'm going to work it out to the others. And I'm going to start initially with every underground having a pre-made setup. Now, right, Kumikaze, good to have you with us. Now, the plan eventually one day is to make the computer build a underground itself, like decide an underground plan itself. However, initially we're going to have it with pre-set up underground plans. Now, this includes corridors or being already dug out for the computer. So I'll show you what I mean. If I run it, hopefully it won't crash. It might crash. Maybe I should have ran it before booting the stream up. Okay, here we are. We're okay. Okay, so we'll pause it now. I'll just show you what's going on. Okay, so this is the AI colony. You should have a few. Yeah, the workers are there. Basically, this is all the corridors the AI colony ever plans to dig. Instead of digging them sequentially, what it does is it just starts with them dug out. Also, as soon as the game starts, it flags its underground tunnel for digging, so it does that immediately as well. And as you can see, it's already made a decision here to build a food store, because that's built into its plan. That's the highest priority room built into its plan. So if I resume it, we should see a couple of things going on.
But given a chance, it will grow
So
to become a
there it's decided to build another tile. It's decided to dig out a tile there. So this is the highest priority room. What it's likely to do is it's likely to work on this room mostly, but yeah, then start to do little bits on other rooms. Like there, we've got a worker chamber starting to be built. And because of the way it makes decisions, it won't really randomize these building plans. As soon as it's got the cash to do it, it'll do it. So if I replay the mission, you should see exactly the same things happening again. Now, what'll make things differ is once combat starts. I have. Previous stream inspired me to make my own AI for RoboCode bot. Very simple machine learning. Oh right, so it's an actual learning AI. Yeah, should work. I know Liam did a lot of work. Did some work when he was at university into neural networks. Very complicated subjects. The AI we got here at the minute is it's just looking at all the stats and making decisions based on that. But because the game starts the same way, it should come up. All its early decisions should be the same. This the underground section of the AI is using the same stuff as 3.1. And I've only just started work on the overground section of the AI. So that won't be doing anything yet. Okay. So back to it. This is in the AI controller. Now, in Unreal Engine, pawns are what the player controls, or ants actually. They're all pawns. And then AI controller is what's put into it in order to turn it into an AI. You can also put human controls into it and handle it differently, but this is what happens when a certain AI is shoved into one of these player pawns, and this is the code that's happening. So, and begin play, we're going to store the free play director for future use. I'm going to use that to get the points of interest on the map, so like the landmarks and whatnot. And then this is what happens on tick. Now, I intend to extend the tick on this because at the minute it's ticking this is running every frame. However, I don't think it needs to, so I might reduce its tick time to something like every couple of seconds. Depends how heavy this becomes, but I've got a feeling the AI could become quite heavy. This isn't the base building side. The base building side handled in a separate section of the AI. And the two systems are slightly separated. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking the code Liam put together for his AI on the leaf cutter level. Some of it's a bit messy. So we'll have to decipher the code as we're going through. And I'm building it into this. As you can see, we're still quite a way off. So I'm on check on battle group here, which is this section, check on battle groups. Instead, I'm putting it all into one function. So that's what this is. This is just copied and pasted directly from Liam's stuff. So it currently doesn't work. Let's get my errors back and work through this. Okay. So battle group ID, I believe, yeah, ID to check. But I don't need to do that because okay, so battle group 1 bound to battle group 2 bound to, okay. Right, so instead of this battle group 1 and battle group 2, I'm going to put arrays in. So battle group binding. So there is 2 battle groups, so I'm just going to create 2 entries. I'm assuming -1 in Liam's code means it's not bound to anything. So I'll just default them to -1. So that's that bit. Then next it does a question. So it asks, is battle group 1 time since combat? So this is my time since combat. That's exactly what I want there. Is time since combat greater than harvest point of interest time limit? Okay, so let me have a quick look at what that is. Right. It looks to me like it's just a single value. Yeah, it is. Okay, so it's 60. So I'll keep it at 60. I'm assuming I can play around with these as I go. A biotech score. So I'll just create that variable and default it to 60. There we are. Oops. It's possible to make in the formicarium that Odomantius boreans. The next missions you're allowed. I don't know what they are, but I can tell you the next missions are fire ants. So there's lots of ants we could do. However, we've got plans for the next. Oh, did he mean trapjaw? Right. So with the trapjaws, they're playable in some of the like Aggrandise. You can play them. However, they're not planned to be at any of the formicarium tier missions. I'm not going to say never because it maybe one day we'll add it like post finishing it. Yeah, you mean God, these scientific names elude me. Is it Berkeley? No, I can't remember. Don't know why I need to look this up now. There's lots of different types of. Anyway, they're not planned to be the next formicarium creatures. No fire ants are. We got mission plans for those. I'm sure there'll be more monthly levels. Well, more of the extra levels will involve them. But they're not planned to be in the Formicarium campaign. I mean, the Trapjaw ants, they've actually got really good sustain in our game. So they jump out of range and then heal up. But ants that do really high damage at level 3, I actually think mages do. Leafcutter mages do. They're... Anyway, I think I need... Okay. I'm trying to work out what I need here. Okay. So tile grid. So this is something I can get at the start. So at the start of the game, I'm going to store a reference to the tile grid because we're going to need it a few times. So I need to get the colony ID of this. Looks like we can just get it from this. So I'll have to check that out and make sure that is actually true. Okay, so that's storing a reference to the colony ID. That's get call to arms by ID. Okay, so this is ID to check. I think that's right. Yeah, it is. So if their call to arms is valid, so they have one. They call them call to arms. If their pheromone marker is valid, call to arms is it comes from the influence from Dungeon Keeper. Right, I'm coming back to chat for a second. And the other type of enemies in free play, not the wood ants. Empire's Undergrowth is the best game ever. Do you like it? I'm glad you like it. I want to know the Leafcutter song in the night. The the music we do intend to release as a soundtrack, and I suspect we'll have it available on Steam once we do release it. We've also got to get it out to Kickstarter backers as well at some point, but we wait until we've got the full soundtrack to do that. You're right, CNR Ragnarok. Good to have you back with us. How goes the day? It's all right at the minute. I'm wrestling with the AI again, trying to get enemy colonies in. 1 second, I'm just going to take my jumper off. Ooh, it's getting warm. It's getting warm in here. Because all you lovely people have showed up. The day goes at 60 seconds per minute, as usual. See, no one's breaking the speed limit. Put the leaf cutter night song. It's so relaxing. Happy to be here. I don't think we just have it as a song. It's the funny thing about it. In order to play the music, I'd have to play the game, because the way the music works, it's multiple tracks laid on top of each other, and they cut in and out depending on the action. So you'll notice that any playthrough you have, the way the music flows is different, because it'll dynamically go up and down based on what's going on. Do the babysitting level a few more times. Trees and treasury nuts. Yes, I think it's aptly named. I initially named it Brood Sisters, but changed it to babysitting because Brood Sisters implies that they have some level of competence, and they really don't. Hopefully the AI I'm making now will have more competence than that one. That one's literally just following a sequence. This one's at least making some decisions. Okay, let's get back to it. So it's getting the call to arms. If it gets the call to arms, and its colony location is equal to -1, -1 being the surface, then it does move group to location. Now the new location is its queen. Okay, so it moves its marker to the queen. But data supplement colony ID. So there it gets the colony ID from the data supplement. We don't need to do that. Because we can just do this. Okay, so there we go. That's that done. Well, that basically this whole section was the bot making a decision to return home. Now, that's it not battling. Now we get back to the meat and crumpets of the situation. Okay. They really don't. It's possible to make another extra level to play it, another similar to Aggrandize. The trope angers me, but the level you made is a break from the trope. It's done very well. If they are not competent, it doesn't mean the player isn't. Elm 4 SC4 Pito 2000. There are other levels in that are time gated. They're currently time gated. There's 2 more levels coming. One a month. And then there should be more after that. So we should keep releasing levels after that. But at the minute there's 3 levels in the game already and they're just time gated. If you really wanted to break the system and see those other levels, it's not hard. Just change your system clock to a month in the future and you'll see another level. I haven't done anything sophisticated with that. Basically because it doesn't really matter. Most people will see them as they release. But if you're desperate, you can skip ahead. Okay, so this is if it's escorting one of the harvesting groups. So, time since combat array index. So if time since combat is greater than time to forget about escorting, then I think this isn't actual combat. I think this is sending them home again. But we'll see. So let's have a look at where it comes from. True. Okay, so and that value is less than 5. What's that value? Timestamp of last combat status update. So if combat's been more than 5 seconds ago, and the number in combat is greater than 0, is not greater than 0. Okay, let's bring that with us. Is not greater than 0, then set group status to idle. Okay, so this is changing itself to idle. Okay, so are we done with this section then? I think we're done here. What's this? This is it moving on to the next thing. Okay, so moving on to the next thing. At the minute I'm just trying to copy across what Liam had from the other thing. Then we'll move into more into playtesting and more complex stuff. And when it gets to like deciding where to harvest and that sort of thing, it's going to be a little bit more complicated than what Liam's done. Oh, you're excited now. Just hit 88 miles per hour. live. Let's let this go live. Which colony are you making now to use in free play? It's not a specific type of ant. It's going to be any type of ant. It's going to be essentially any colony should be able to do it, and it'll just mix up the group arrangements. It's just literally the AI of the colony. It's nothing. It's not for a specific colony. But at the minute I'm testing with black ants. I don't know why I played that. That might crash. Didn't crash last time. It's not going to crash this time. May as well have a look at what it's doing. I don't think it'll be doing anything yet.
This new society. But if it meets them, it could rise to become a true contender for this patch of the Undergrowth.
Right, anyway. So yeah, it won't be placing markers yet. This is the section I've got to, so let's move on. Okay, so that was the battle groups. After we've done that, we're going to go through so that was battle group IDs, harvest group IDs. So we need to do the same for harvest groups now. Battle group IDs. I'm interested to see what happens when I set 3 computers going. At the minute it won't do much, but I would be very interested to see 3 computers duking it out. Ah, the beach song. What about the slave maker ants from the Black Ant mission that steals your larvae? Yeah, again, they're interesting species, and it would be nice to do more fully realised levels. I think it'd be nice to do a level with the slave makers that give them a specific mechanic, but it would just be a monthly level again, and it requires some thought. Maybe one that turns the tables on 1-2, and you've got a surface and a slave maker colony, and you're raiding the Black Ant colony. That would be interesting. I've got lots of ideas for monthly levels though. I'm pretty sure the IDs of these are 1 and 2. Go away for now. Okay, so back to Liam's code. So what Liam does, he does it twice. I'll only need to do it once. because of the way I've done the code. Right, I mustn't save this, whatever I do, because this is actually level 3.1. And that mustn't change. But, okay, so current group ID loop. Okay, so he sets that. Sets the group text. I think this is to do with bug fixing, so I'm not going to bother with that. So he gets the tile grid and the current group ID loop. Oh yeah, okay. So first thing he does, I've put that in the wrong place. He gets the call to arms, see if they've got one. Pheromone marker. I need to stop calling it call to arms because call to arms was literally just a name we gave it because of it was the initial name we had for it, but it's definitely pheromone marker. Okay, what have we got? So if there is a call to arms, pheromone marker. God. If there's not, this is what generates one, I think. What did Right, okay. Okay, so I'm going to take this and we're going to have a look at it. So if there is no marker, this is going to happen. Right, get occupied points of interest. Now that looks to me like a function. Yeah, it is. Okay, so this is where things are going to start to get a little bit more tricky. Points of interest are things that have been placed on the map so the AI can take a look and decide if it wants to attack them. They're literally just positions that should be interesting. So I probably need to copy this function. I'll copy it over and we'll see what we can do with it. It doesn't look like I can just copy it. No, it's not too hard. So there's inputs and outputs. So I've got POI to avoid. I don't know if I'll actually need that. Huh, it copied the outputs. Add avoidance 1 on. Okay. we'll have to see where these come up and what they're used for as we go through it. So, on for enemies, off for friends. Interesting. Where are these meant to be stored? Well, I mean, not stored. Where are they going? Okay, so it's going into that. Into that. Oh, it's obvious where it's going. Okay. So, having a look at this. So there's all points of interest here, which I can get from the freeplay director. However, I believe there's quite a lot of them. There's 50 odd in some levels. If I have a look here. There's 80. Yeah, 80. Okay. Well, we're just gonna have to see how the performance is impacted. The points of interest are what landmarks use to make themselves as well. So they're pretty much just points that are out in the middle of nowhere on purpose, and they're all over the place. Someone can't be bothered getting out of their car. Right, where's occupied points of interest come from? I'll come back to chat in a moment. I'm just trying to follow this through. Right. Okay, so it looks to me like it's something set somewhere. Oh, it's just added to. is it ever removed from? Is there? It's just there in local variables. Oh, it's a local variable. Right. Okay. So it's created here. So we'll follow suit. Create a local one. What about this temp point of interest? It's another local variable, and so is enemies nearby. Okay. So what's the other local? Oh, yeah, okay. We got all the local variables there. Okay. Okay. So let's have a quick flick through what it's doing. I should name the function properly. Get occupied points of interest. Rather than new function 0. Get occupied points of interest. Okay, so it's coming in. It starts here. It goes on for enemies, off for friends. So it's off there. Should be off in R1, right, as well. Doesn't like it. Okay, so it's happy with that now. We come into here. So we're looking for occupied points of interest. It's off that, I believe, so we're down here straight away. Friend locations. Group IDs to POI points of interest map. Okay, let's see what that is. It's all over the place. Need to find where it gets set, really. So it's used to find things multiple times. It's going to come up in the next few things we're doing. So we do need to understand it. Okay, here. So there's no point of interest, so we choose one. It probably shouldn't happen overground. It chooses one and adds it along with the group ID. Okay. Again, added. What's this? Check if there's a better point of interest for food. Okay. So it's added to multiple places. It's literally just something that sits in the AI. Okay. Well, I'll just create it then. I think we're fine just creating it. So considering nothing's happened yet, it's going to cycle through them. Making sure it's not the point of interest that was passed into a void, which I don't think one was passed in, so... No. So that should be dead simple. So make sure of that. If it's got one, and it's not the point of interest to avoid, it adds it to the occupied points of interest because that's in the array. Okay, well, in the map. If it's not, oh no, then once it's finished going through them all, it returns the occupied points of interest. Okay, we're getting somewhere. If it's enemies, it's a different kettle of fish. Okay. Doesn't seem happy with me. I'd avoided one on. Okay. Any more errors? Don't think there are in here, so I think we're good. So when the group marker doesn't exist, we get it could probably be a local variable actually. First AI tick. Find a point of interest. Okay. So first AI tick is true. I'm assuming that's just a variable. Okay, so there's two unknowns here. What are the unknowns? Right. Let's see what they are. He set the first points of interest. He's setting the first points of interest to two things that are on the map. No, I can't do that. But I believe there's a function in the freeplay thing to get the nearest points of interest. Let's have a look. Okay, so closest point of interest goes through the points of interest. Spawn point. It's an actor reference. Okay, so it's literally finding the closest point of interest to that. If nearest points of interest are greater than 2, then it does a squared distance check on them. Nearest point of interest is not greater than 2. It adds it to nearest point of interest. Moves on. Right, so yeah, so it populates it with 2 points of interest. Then, as it's going through, once it is greater than 2, it will check each one against the list. Okay, so it literally just removes items and then returns the nearest one. Okay, so that will return the nearest 1 point of interest. Maybe what I should do is set both the harvesting groups to the nearest point of interest to start with, and then it can faff about moving them afterwards. I think that's what I'm going to do for now. It's a function, isn't it? Right, it needs to find the nearest point of interest to the underground tunnel, the overground tunnel. So it needs its tile grid. Right, it seems like it returns an array, so it possibly returns the nearest couple. Okay, so I need to double check what we're doing here. Right, let me come back to chat for a moment whilst this goes in. Eager to see how it reacts to different situations. From 3 colonies. 3 colonies this time. Any plans on bullet ants? Bullet ants are planned as an extra unit post-campaign. It was actually part of the Kickstarter. They're not actually planned to be part of the campaign, but once you've completed the campaign, and as a bonus unlock at the end, we plan on introducing a bullet ant. Now, I'm not entirely sure what it's going to do yet. I just know it's going to be powerful and expensive. So the crazed scientist is right there. Bonus species. They did say in stream will be spoiler free next year. Now you will can have friend colony. Potentially with this I could do allied colonies. I think I'd probably have to put some thought into it as I'm going through. However, it would require more work for the ally to properly respond to what you're doing. I think initially if I do allow allied colonies, initially they won't really react to you. They'll just do their own thing. But we'll see how things go further down the line. 2-on-1s, 2-on-2s. Seeing all those parts connected reminds me of that stupid error I made with my robocode. I had a hierarchy that would delete everything depending on anything that was deleted, but I swapped dependencies, but deleted itself. Very good, half node. If we were to have allies, there should be a way to request help. Oh, I see what you mean. So if you did allies, you'd maybe introduce an extra button, and which kind of placed like an ally pheromone marker. Didn't strictly place it, but it suggested they go there. Maybe like a mini-map ping or something. Yeah, that could work. Basically, you place it down and the computer has a quick look to see if it can help, and if it can help, it sends what it can to that location. Yeah. Something to think about, eh? Someone's raiding with a party of 2. Excellent. Is there a way to see the stats of ants? It's hard to choose between. There isn't currently built into the game. There is an outdated stats sheet on the website. I can't remember its exact address, but someone's bound to have it. I'm sure half nerd will know where it is. But there is a stat sheet somewhere that you can have a look at, but it's a little bit confusing because creatures have stats, but they also have abilities, and abilities can have effects tied to them. So, you, in order to truly get a full picture of what a creature is capable of, you need to kind of check what a creature is and what abilities it has. Check what effects are linked to those abilities, because the effects linked to the abilities can do damage in themselves, or they can restore health and all sorts. So you've kind of got to get a basic get your head in the mind frame of a basic of basic database work before you do it, because it's the damage. For example, the damage that says that wood ants do isn't the damage that wood ants do, because wood ants use an ability, so you have to take the damage from the ability, not from the ants' damage. But yeah, we do intend to have a wiki, well, sort of wiki, not one you can edit, but like a manual, I guess, info pages in the game. And we did quite a bit of work on it, but we haven't populated it yet. Cheers, half nerd. Okay. So where were we? We've got a load of yellow. Hit compile, that might get rid of a load of it. Yeah. So it gets the occupied points of interest. Then it adds to them. Okay, interesting. Adds to this temp occupied points of interest. Yeah, okay, so I was trying to get the closest point of interest, but I'm not sure if it's the right thing to do anymore. I think basically that returns 3 points of interest. But I think what I should do rather than doing that here, what I should do is I should do it on begin play. So because these are never going to change. So we're working the enemy colonies in freeplay, right? Yes, Daniel Sly. That is exactly what I'm doing. I'm working on getting a basic form of them in to start with. Then we can expand on it from there. So at the minute I'm trying to work out group management. I'm taking it from level 3-1 because I don't want to reinvent the wheel. But I'm changing it as appropriate. Right, so I believe in the previous level it added 1 and 5 to the occupied POIs. Move group to location. First AI tick. Interesting. I'm not really sure. I'm not really convinced this is a good idea. Because here it's first AI trick is true, we go there. First AI tick is false, we go up there. Right, so it was the first AI tick. We had 1 and 5 to the right. I see what it's doing. Okay, so thinking about 3-1, because we've got to think about this in context. This is taken from 3-1, and it's basically trying to search for a point of interest to start at. If it's the very start of the game, it never goes to the very far edges because that would be inefficient. So it avoids 1 and 5. That's what that is. It's adding them into this occupied array and avoids them. Right, we don't need to do that. However, the first points of interest should be based on that you head to should be based on landmarks, really. This is getting complicated already. So okay, it's interesting. It's clearly using several sets of criteria to figure this one out, so. Right, just to warn you, I think I'm going to end the stream in 15 minutes, so it'll be an hour and a half in total, this stream. I think this task is becoming painful on my brain, so I'm going to need some time offline to think about it. So it's getting best resource location. So this is going to be a key function. Right, so it's getting best resource location around that point of interest. Okay. So this is where 3.1 and free play are going to differ a lot. So in free play, you don't just want to look over all the points, because in 3.1 you've got 5 areas that the computer tries to harvest from. Well, 5 patches that it tries to harvest from. Or is it 6? Might be 6. If they're... And it's got a direct run to each one from its base. Now in free play, we can't just scan the whole map and go, oh look, there's great food over the other side of the map, let's go get that. We've got to instead go, right, what's the nearest food source to us? Not the best necessarily. What's the nearest and least dangerous food source to us? And take it from there. Now to get a computer player to be able to figure that out and then get to the resources in the early games without getting themselves completely destroyed is going to be a task and a half. Because the computers, it's going to have to scan the map a bit. It's probably going to have a look at its route to the resource as well, just to make sure there's nothing there. And then as it's going, it's going to have to keep an eye on things, because creatures can just run through your trails in free play. In the level, it's set up a bit so creatures don't cross over the path that the computer takes. They cross over your path, but they don't cross over the computer one. But in free play, we've got to be a bit more fluid with it. Yeah. Alright, coming back to chat. So my black ants have 1 damage reduction. Will this mean the worker ants won't do anything to them? I think there is a cut-off on the damage reduction. Depends what you mean by damage reduction. So there's armour, which reduces damage. There is... there's also physical damage resistance, which reduces damage by a percentage. So if you got 1 armor and 10 damage comes in, it gets reduced to 9. If you've got 50% physical resistance and 10 damage comes in, it gets reduced to 50%. Now there is a minimum damage threshold, so you can't reduce 1 damage to 0. I think it gets reduced to something like 0.01 or something like that, so you're still doing some damage, but it's not much. Okay, Half-Node says, is there also landmark relevancy for the AI to prevent it from waiting at the nearest leaves as a non-leaf cutter species? We are going to need to consider that, yes. So there won't be yet, because Liam's only done the AI as a leaf cutter colony. So I'll probably need to look at the AI and adapt it to scan for food as well as plants. But it's safe as well. We want it to scan for food or plants, so we need to specify what we're scanning for. It does have the scanning functions in there. I don't know what they do yet, and that's going to be part of my forthcoming tasks, figuring that out. But yes, we will need to absolutely make sure that the leafcutter colony does not go for meat, because it won't be able to pick it up. Combined HP of hostile damaging mobs at the food source and along the path found route. The X range would be a dirty way to get it done. Yeah, I guess so. You could do it like that. I'm not sure how Liam... See, Liam's got functions in place for a lot of it. Like this one, get best resource location. So it takes a point of interest. Oh, here we are. Consider normal, harvestable, and climb. Looks like Liam might have considered it with these functions anyway. So yeah, we're gonna when we build this, we're gonna have to make that relevant to the colony we're looking at. A lot of considerations to take in. The first stab at this is not going to be very good. But that's okay. Once I've got a framework in, we can improve upon it. Not going to that seed plant landmark. Way too many woodlice there. Yeah, you would need to do a check on it. There's so, again, this is one of those tricky things. What stats do you use to do that sort of check? Because you can't just use damage as well. So you could do a quick one that said, right, creatures have this much health and this much damage, so their danger rating is X. However, that doesn't necessarily work either, because, for example, wood ants, their damage doesn't come through their damage stat. So you got to consider that. We've got to consider. Okay, so if you're figuring out, I think Liam actually created something to solve this problem that he called danger mass. And I think he basically made just some data with different creatures and just did it by hand. Like say this creature is worth this many danger points. Now, what might be an easy way of doing it, and one that will last further into the future, is doing it via point score. So if you have a quick scan of an area and the creatures add up to 100,000 points. Well, okay, that's a huge amount. They add up to so many points, then you know that higher point creatures are going to be more dangerous. So you could do it on that. Challenge rating. D&D is challenge rating associated with each creature in the entire game. Yeah, you could do that. So you could do a human input challenge rating. So we just go, okay, so these creatures are worth this much. But point score might be able to do that. I imagine a woodlouse has a very low point score. But the problem is, woodlice should really make an area more attractive anyway. And there's other aspect of it. Should the computer should be hunting creatures at certain points. So if it's got an army strength so big, it should then be going, right, where are the nearby enemies so I can kill them and consume them. At least if it's not a leafcutter colony, it should be doing that. Leafcutters are actually going to be a lot easier to do in this than the other creatures. Alright. So yeah, in the last 5 minutes, I'm just gonna continue scanning through what we've got here, rather than actually doing anything. What's this? What am I on? What have I clicked? Level code. Didn't mean to click level code. Tick enemy eye. So this is back into the enemy eye. So once we've got this, which appears to be finding a point of interest and setting a group to it, just the first time. Just the first time the game started. Okay, so other than that though, this is it making decisions. So get group data of interest. Depending on what it's doing. So call to arms should not be overground in those situations. Unusual harvesting update. Usual harvesting update. Okay, so this is the stuff where it looks into harvesting then. Oh boy, I have no idea what's going on here. Right, well, 3 points of interest is obviously the ones that aren't occupied. So it's the points of interest that aren't occupied. I don't know what denatured means in this context. So it's checking the time since it was last moved. Get best resources in location. I'm assuming this is moving it then. This is a worthy point of interest for food. We now need to check if battle exists, and if so, is it going well? Okay, so that'll be making a decision whether to retreat or not. So that's retreat. Plenty of resources, but there's been recent combat. So this is the markers underground. So that's a whole separate section. Okay, so I mean, it doesn't look too bad. I mean, it's a bit messy, this. I think the reason it looks so messy is because he's put these messages in, but he's put them in afterwards to try and debug stuff. Yeah. Okay. So it doesn't look too bad to me. There's going to have to be some heavy adaptation. I'm going to have to really carefully think about it. Yeah, corpses should also. It's going to be hard, and we're not going to get it perfect. And I think when we do release free play with AIs, there's going to be initially it'll be just available in an easy mode, because it'll take a lot more work to make a cleverer one. And then I think we'll the initial ones will be an easy AI, and then an easy AI that cheats, and then an easy AI that cheats worse, and an easy AI that cheats even worse, and then eventually we'll start working on a cleverer AI. Excellent, CNR Ragnarok. I'm sure we'll be doing lots of testing with this, and this is one as well that we can get as many people who want to test it tested, but it's not spoilery or anything. It's just it's just gonna require people to basically give it a go, see how they feel about it. My guess is it's going to take a long time to get it to a point where an enemy's actually challenging. And it'll also be there's also trickier sides to it as well, that you've got to patch up the holes that players find their exploits. So there'll be ways to break the AI, confuse it, all that sort of fun stuff going on. We'll see. We'll see. See it. See an Ragnarok. It's not necessarily just making an enemy easier is easy. You just make stupider or slower decisions. Making an enemy harder, so making the base clever AI good and not be exploitable is tricky. I would never underestimate an AI task. AI tasks are not easy. But we'll see. I do want proper enemy colonies, but I'm also gonna have cheat options in there. I'm not gonna hide the fact that they're cheating. It will just be an option for people who have figured out the AI enough and they want it harder, so they can make it cheap. It will be very transparent, as in you're selecting the difficulty of them in the game and it will say cheats. Horrendous cheat, massive dirty cheat, that sort of thing. Yeah, build orders. It's currently handled in this system with the building plan. Now the building plans are currently preset, so at the moment I've just set one building plan for each underground. If we have a quick look at it, but in the building plan there's so there's all these planned rooms, and they've got priorities. So they've got a relative priority, which is relative to all the other rooms. So the higher that is, the more priority the computer will have to build it relative to the other rooms. And then once the room's complete, it gets a new relative priority on the upgrades. So it's whether it wants to complete building other rooms or upgrading. Easy, normal, hard, Dark Souls. Tory party. Anyway, so yeah, we'll I'll be back tomorrow for another stream. So hope to see you then. I want to be a little bit earlier than I was today. Yeah. See you tomorrow. And thanks for stopping by. Have a good evening.